Hi everyone, welcome again. We're learning Pirkei Avot. This is we're approaching the end. We're going to be learning chapter 5. I won't finish chapter 5, so that we'll leave a few Mishnayot for the end for Rabbi Elton when he does the teaching this Wednesday of Erev Pesach for Ta'anit Bechorot as our siyum. So we'll leave I think about 2 or 3 Mishnayot at the end, but we're going to do most of chapter 5, the last chapter, together now. Okay, here we go. So, Mishnah 1. Ba'asaram amarot nivra olam. Uma Talmud lomar, v'halo b'ma'amar chad yachol lehibarot. So, by 10 sayings was the world created. What does Scripture teach us thereby? Could it not have been created by one saying? God clearly doesn't need 10 sayings to create the world. He could have done it all in one moment. So what is that coming to teach us? Ella lehipara min harashaim ume'abdin et ha'olam shenivra ba'asara ma'amarot v'liten zachar tov latzadikim shemekayimim et ha'olam shenivra ba'asara ma'amarot. But it is to punish the wicked who destroy the world, which was created by 10 sayings, and to give a handsome reward to the righteous who preserve the world, which was created by 10 sayings. So this 10 sayings is referring to the actual creation story in Bereshit, in the book of Genesis. When the phrase Vayomer Elokim that God said is actually used 10 times. It's used 9 times, and then the 10th would be considering the first words of the Torah, Bereshit bara Elokim, as the 10th. So what it's saying is that by saying it 10 times instead of just one, it's showing how important this is, how important the creation of the world is, and therefore, when people do things to destroy that, whether that be by destroying the image of God in other people or destroying the world in some other way, how profoundly negative an action that is, and the inverse of that, how positive an action is to help other people, to help the world, to make the world a better place because of the care and the detail with which the world was created. That comes to emphasize that. Okay, Mishnah 2. Asara dorot me'adam ad Noach lehodia kama erech apayim lefanav shekol dorot hayu mach'isin uva'in ad shehevi alehem et mei hamabu. There were 10 generations from Adam to Noah to show us how great was his long suffering. For all the generations continually angered him until he brought upon them the waters of the flood. Asara dorot minoach ad Avraham lehodia kama erech apayim lefanav shekol dorot hayu machisin uva'in ad sheba Avraham v'kibel alav sechar kulam. So, there were 10 generations from Noah until Abraham to show us how great was his long suffering. For all the generations continually angered him until Abraham came and received the reward for all of them. So it says that God withheld his anger for so long in all the generations from Adam to Noah that were there was great sins, and then finally there was the flood with the generation of Noah. And then from Noah until Abraham there was also 10 generations, which comes to show the waiting God was going through, the long suffering, all these generations that angered him until this one really righteous person came and received the reward for all of them, meaning they all had the opportunity to repent and change their ways, and they didn't, and then Abraham came and did all of the repenting and changing and excelling so much in the positive ways and good deeds that he received all of the reward of those 10 generations. Mishnah 3. Asara nisyonot nitnasa Avraham Avinu alav hashalom va'amad bechulam. With 10 trials was our father Abraham tempted, and he withstood them all. Lehodia kama chibato shel Avraham Avinu alav hashalom. To show us how great was the love of our father Abraham. So there's different opinions of different sages about what these 10 trials, the exact list of 10 trials that Abraham endured. Some of them, of course, the binding of Isaac is on everyone's list. And then there's other events that when Sarah was taken to Pharaoh's house, Hagar and Ishmael being banished, different things that happened in his life that tested him. He withstood them all, and this comes to show us how great the love of Abraham was for God, is one way of understanding it. I think the primary way of understanding it, that he endured all of this for his love of God, but also God for Abraham, that how much each time God loved Abraham more, for his commitment and for his other positive qualities that were shown through these trials. Okay, Mishnah 4. Asara nisim na'asu la'avotenu b'mitzrayim v'asara al hayam. Eser makot hevi HaKadosh Baruch Hu al hamitzrayim b'mitzrayim v'asara al hayam. So, the first part says, 10 miracles were performed for our forefathers in Egypt and 10 at the sea. 10 plagues did the Holy One, blessed be He, bring upon the Egyptians in Egypt, and 10 at the sea. Asara nisyonot nisu avotenu et hamakom baruch hu bamidbar shene'emar vaynasu oti ze eser pe'amim velo sham'u bekoli. With 10 trials did our forefathers try the omnipresent, blessed be He, in the wilderness. As it is written, you have put me to proof these 10 times and have not hearkened to my voice. So what were these? So let's go through each one. So there was 10 miracles performed by our forefathers in Egypt, for our forefathers in Egypt, and 10 at the sea. So the 10 miracles performed for our ancestors in Egypt were that they were not affected by the plagues that were put upon the Egyptians. That in each one in and of itself is a miracle. And 10 at the sea, it says that there is 10 more things that God did to bless us at the sea. Not necessarily mentioned explicitly in the Torah, but understood from the verses about the crossing of the sea and so forth. 10 plagues did the Holy One, blessed be He, bring upon the Egyptians in Egypt. Those are the plagues we're very familiar with that we're going to recall at our Seder this week. And then, with 10 trials did our forefathers try the omnipresent, blessed be He, in the wilderness. And that's all the times that the Israelites complained to God, tested his patience, and complaining to God and to Moshe. Okay, Mishnah 5. Asara nisim na'asu la'avotenu b'veit hamikdash. So, 10 miracles were performed for our fathers in the temple, when the temple used to stand, and the service was still conducted. Here are 10 miracles that are recalled by the sages of that time, that was passed on. Lo hipila isha mireach basar hakodesh, velo hisriach basar hakodesh me'olam, velo nira zvuv b'veit hamit b'chaim. So, no woman ever miscarried from the odor of the sacrificial flesh. The rabbis had an idea that the smell of meat could have this negative effect, potentially. And then it says the sacrificial flesh never became putrid. Even the meat that was able to be consumed over a day or 2 day span, and maybe it was during the hot season, still it would stay fresh and edible. And no fly was ever seen in the slaughterhouse, which is, I think that one's easy to understand, pretty amazing thing. All this place where all this slaughter and all of this cooking of meat, and specifically this part where the slaughter takes place, no flies are ever seen there. Velo era keri lechoin gadol b'yom kippurim, velo chibu geshamim esh shel atzei hama'aracha, velo natzcha haruach et amud he'ashan. No pollution ever befell the high priest on Yom Kippur. The rains never extinguished the fire of the woodpile on the altar. The wind never prevailed over the column of smoke. So this means that the Kohen Gadol on the day before Yom Kippur would have a kind of an understudy, someone who's ready to do the job if he becomes ritually impure. And it's saying it never happened that a Kohen Gadol had specifically one pertaining to his body, so some kind of seminal emission or flow that made him unable to do the Yom Kippur service the next day. That never ever happened. And the rains never extinguished the fire, that one, the fire, the burning of an offering. The rain never put it out in the outdoor area. And the wind never prevailed over the column of smoke. This column of smoke that would rise straight up was never moved by the smoke. It was never moved by the wind. Okay, velo nimsa psul ba'omer uvishte halechem uvelechem hapanim omdim sefufim umishtachavim revachim. So there was never found a disqualifying defect in the omer, or in the 2 loaves, or in the shewbread. The people stood tightly together, yet prostrated themselves at ease. So these offerings that if there's a problem and they're disqualified, you can't, because they need to be prepared the day before, you can't redo it or prepare it in time, so that those offerings were never spoiled. They never had a problem. And also, when the people potentially when they would come together for the three festivals in which they would go to Jerusalem, and it'd be packed with so many people. There was always room for them to prostrate themselves. Something so really amazing about the physical space. V'lo hizik nachash v'akrav b'Yerushalayim me'olam v'lo amar adam l'chavero sar li hamakom she'alin b'Yerushalayim. Neither snake nor scorpion ever injured anyone in Jerusalem, even though there were plenty there. No one was ever hurt by them, and no man ever said to his fellow, "The space is too narrow for me to lodge overnight in Jerusalem." That there was always space for someone, maybe particularly for the pilgrimage holidays, or just in general, that everyone is always taken care of and has their basic needs met during their stay in Jerusalem. These are 10 miracles that happened when the temple was standing. Mishnah number 6. Asara dvarim nivru be'erev Shabbat bein hashmashot ve'elu hen. So 10 things were created on Shabbat Eve at twilight, in that time when we don't know if it's day or night, that in-between time. And they are, here are the 10 things that were created. And when it says the Sabbath Eve at twilight, we're talking about the first one, on the first Friday, nearing the completion, or the moment of completion of the world. And these are the 10 things that were created during that first week, that first Ben Hashmashot of Erev Shabbat going into Shabbat. Okay, and they are Pi haaretz ufi habe'er ufi ha'aton v'hakeshet v'haman v'hamate v'hashamir v'haktav v'hamiktav v'haluchot. The mouth of the earth, the mouth of the well, the mouth of the she-ass, the rainbow, the manna, the staff, the shamir, the letters, the writing, and the tablets. So I'll go over each one of those. First, let's finish this Mishnah. V'yesh omrim, af hamazikin ukvurato shel Moshe, ve'elo shel Avraham Avinu, v'yesh omrim, af tzvat bitzvat asuya. And some say also the harmful spirits and the burial place of Moses and the ram of our father Abraham. And some say also the tongues made of tongues. So we have a lot of things to explain, because there's a list of 10, and then there are, I think, 4 more. So a few things to explain. So what were all these things that were created on the final moments of creation, the Ben Hashmashot, before the twilight time, before the first Shabbat, after the creation of the world? So the mouth of the earth. So the mouth of the earth that swallowed Korach and his congregation was already created at this time. The mouth of the well. So too, the well of Miriam that helped people have water in the wilderness. Ufi aton, in the mouth of the female donkey. This is of Bil'am. It was decreed that this donkey would end up speaking already at the time of the creation of the world. The V'hakeshet, the rainbow. So the rainbow that appeared marking the covenant with God in the world after the flood of Noach. The manna, so that's the special food that would come down for the people in the wilderness to feed them. The staff, meaning Moses' staff, with which he performed all of the wonders that he did. The shamir, and this is this like kind of miraculous worm that's able to be guided and used to cut letters in stone. So that was created at this time, or decreed to be able to exist at this time. The hakatav and a michtav, so the characters and the actual text that was recorded, and the luchot, the tablets. Okay, that's our list of 10 things that were created at Ben Hashmashot, and now the things that some people say, v'yesh omrim. So some people say there's more things. The harmful spirits were created Friday at dusk. The burial place of Moses. So it's written that we don't know where it is, but it's saying that its place was designated, that God knew that there would be this special burial place for this very special person, and that was already established during the creation of the world. And the ram of our father Abraham, the ram that was used as a replacement during the binding of Isaac, that he found caught in the thorns, and was used as an alternative offering. And also the Yeshomrim, so another Yeshomrim, another opinion of something that might have been created during this time. It says the tongues of the tongues. So meaning when you create a metal tool, when you're creating it in scalding hot fire, there has to be an existing tool with which to hold it in order to create it. So kind of what precedes that which we're creating. So something that the things that kind of come before creation. So maybe this means like literally this specific tool, this one specific tool, or just the idea in general of something that you need to create other things. What created that? That is the moment that those things are created. Okay, next Mishnah, Mishnah 7. Shiva dvarim bagolem v'shiv'a bechacham. 7 things characterize a boor, and 7 a wise man. Hechacham eno medaber bifnei mi shehu gadol mimenu bechokma, ve'eno nichnas letoch divrei chavero, ve'eno nivhal lehashiv, shu'el ka'inyan umeshiv kahalacha, ve'omer al rishon rishon ve'al acharon acharon, ve'al ma shelo shama omer lo shamati, umodei al ha'amet, ve'chilufehen bagolem. The wise man does not speak before one who is greater than he is in wisdom. He does not interrupt the words of his fellow. He is not hasty to answer. He asks what is relevant and answers according to halacha. He speaks on the first point first and the last point last. Concerning that which he has not heard, he says, I have not heard. And he confesses to the truth. And the opposite of these is the mark of the boor. So what makes someone intelligent? This list, I think, kind of goes in, there's an opinion that it goes in the order of how the conversation would occur. So first, that he knows not to speak. He waits for someone who's much wiser than him to speak first, and then he won't interrupt someone while they are speaking. And then after that person speaks and they're waiting maybe for a response from him, he's not hasty to answer. He takes his time and he's thoughtful. He asks what is relevant and answers according to halakha. So he asks the right questions and he answers according to the legal system. He speaks on the first point first and the last point last, that he addresses things in the proper order that they were asked, so that he's really thoroughly responding to someone. Concerning that which he has not heard, he says, I have not heard it. So maybe that means he's admitting his lack of knowledge on something, or it's saying, I have not heard it, meaning I have not heard it from a teacher or from another rabbi, and this is my own opinion. So he's being careful not to misquote anyone, and to show that something maybe is of his thoughts and shouldn't be attributed to someone else in case he's mistaken. And he confesses to the truth, that he's honest. And anyone who doesn't do all of these things is not being a wise person. Okay. Mishnah 8. Shiva mine puraniot ba'in la'olam al shiva gufei avera. 7 kinds of punishment came upon the world for 7 categories of transgressions. Miktsatan me'asrin umiktsatan ena me'asrin, ra'av shel batsoret ba, miktsatan re'evim umiktsatan soveim, gamrul shelo la'aser, ra'av shel mehuma v'shel batsoret ba, v'shelo litol et hachala, ra'av shel kalaya ba. So when some give tithe and some do not give tithe, a famine due to drought ensues. Some suffer hunger while others have their fill. When all resolve to withhold the tithes, famine due to turmoil and drought ensues. When all resolve not to separate challah, an all-consuming famine ensues. So these all have to do with not giving what is due to others, what should be given to charity, what should be given in the tithes, that which is yours really belongs to God and needs to be given back in a certain percentage. And also the challah, so separating challah, taking out the food that should be when one makes the challah offering as well. These things lead to not giving those their proper due of food that you're religiously, legally bound to give, leads to our own suffering of not having what we need, the food and drink that we need. Dever ba'ala olam al mitot ha'amurot ba'torah shelo nimseru levet din va'al perot shivi'it cherev ba'ala olam al inui hadin va'al ivut hadin va'al hamorim ba'torah shelo kahalacha. Pestilence comes upon the world for death penalties pronounced by the Torah, whose execution, however, is beyond the competency of the human court. So even when the human court can't charge someone, can't get a conviction, that there's still there's still a punishment for this. And for the abuse of the produce of the 7th year, the sword comes upon the world for the delay of justice and for the perversion of justice, and because of those who interrupt the Torah interpret the Torah not according to halacha. So the first section was about kind of deficiencies in charity and in doing what is just for people who are marginalized and deserving of compassion, and giving proper monetary amounts of what you're supposed to give. And the second set that we just read seems like it has to do with things of deficiencies in justice and truth, and those have these terrible or violent outcomes when we allow for injustices and things that are not true in our society. Okay, Mishnah number 9. Chaya ra'ah ba'a la'olam al shuvat shav va'al chilul Hashem. Wild beasts come upon the world because of false oaths and for the desecration of the divine name. Galut ba'a la'olam al ovdei avodah zarah va'al gilui arayot va'al shvichat damim va'al hashmatat haaretz. Exile comes upon the world because of idolaters, for incest, for bloodshed, and because of neglect of the sabbatical, the release of land, the shvit. Okay. Ba'arba'a prakim hadever mitrabe, baravi'it uv'ashvi'it uv'motza'e shvi'it uv'motza'e hechag shebechol shana v'shana. Pestilence increases at 4 periods: in the 4th year, in the 7th year, in the year after the 7th year, and at the conclusion of the feast each year. Baravi'it mipnei ma'asar Oni shebashlishit, bashvi'it mipnei ma'asar ani shebashishit, uvmotza'e shvi'it mipnei perot shvi'it, uvmotza'e hechag, shebechol shana v'shana mipnei gezel matanot la'anim. Okay, in the 4th year, because of the poor man's tithe. In the 3rd year. In the 7th year, because of the poor man's tithes. In the 6th year. In the year after the 7th year, because of the 7th year produce. And at the end of the feast each year, for robbing the gifts of the poor. So again, these are punishments, consequences for allowing for injustices, allowing for monetary withholding of things that are due to other people. So the ones about exile were for idolatry, for incest, and for bloodshed. So meaning kind of the idea would be that these are things that desecrate the land in a certain way, and therefore there's this punishment of the land. And so too, we have all these tithes that because they were missed in the, we have a agricultural kind of punishment because they were missed during the time that just preceded the current time. There's an agricultural penalty to not giving that of the land which belongs to other people, which belongs to the poor. Okay, Mishnah 10. Arba midot ba'adam. Now we're getting into more ideas of different types of people, different types of students, different types of character traits. So we've left the category of different, we were talking previously about kind of punishments and consequences, and kind of history of previous punishments or previous miracles. And now we're getting into this rabbinical advice about different kinds of people. So let's see. Arba midot ba'adam. There are 4 types of people. Ha'omer sheli sheli v'shalach shalach, zo midah benonit. V'yesh omrim zo midat sodom. He who says mine is mine and yours is yours, this is the average type. And some say this typifies Sodom. Okay, so we'll get back to that. V'shalach sheli shalach v'shalach sheli am haaretz. Sheli shalach v'shalach shalach chasid. Sheli v'shalach sheli rasha. So someone who says mine is yours and yours is mine is an am haaretz. Mine is yours and yours is yours is a pious man. And he who says mine is mine and yours is mine is a wicked man. So let's talk about these different people. So the first one was the one who says mine is mine and yours is yours. And one opinion says this is an average person, which seems fine. And then another opinion says this typifies Sodom. So not very good. So how do we have these 2 different opinions? So if it's just because they're an average person and they're like, okay, mine is mine and yours is yours, and in a very non-malicious way, it's just their way, then they're just an average person. But if it's about saying the primary motive is to keep away from others, if it's really saying, yours is yours merely so that mine is mine and I don't have to give anything, then that's a characteristic of Sodom. What about mine is yours and yours is mine? Allowing others to benefit, and then you may eventually benefit from them. This is a person of the land. It's a positive trait in the sense of most people want some sense of reciprocity. So it could be a positive trait, or it could be this term Am Haaretz is a little confusing because it could mean just a regular person of the land, or it can mean someone who's like ignorant. So it could also mean that this person just doesn't understand how property works. He doesn't understand mine is yours and yours is mine, and doesn't understand how to delineate those lines. So it could mean that in two different ways. What about mine is yours and yours is yours? That's very pious. That's a chassid, it says, a very pious person who is doesn't want to take anything from anyone, but is always willing to give. And then what about someone who says mine is mine and yours is mine? That is a wicked person, which I think is clear. Okay, Mishnah 11. Arba midot badeot. There are 4 types of temperament. Noach lichos v'noach lirtzot, yatsa secharo behefsedo. Kashe lichos v'kashe lirtzot, yatsa hefsedo v'skaro. Kashe lichos v'noach lirtzot, chasid. Noach lichos v'kashe lirtzot, rasha. So someone who's easily angered and easily appeased, his gain is canceled by his loss. Difficult to anger and difficult to appease, his loss is canceled by his gain. Difficult to anger and easily appeased, he is a pious man. Easily angered and difficult to appease, he is a wicked man. So, someone who is easily angered but easily appeased, it says his gain is canceled by his loss. So there's little advantage to his readiness to be pacified if at any moment he might go into a rage again. What about the person who's difficult to anger and difficult to appease? It says his loss is canceled by his gain. So even though he needs to be, there's a lot of effort to placate him, to calm him down once he does get into one of these very rare fits, the fact that he's generally has a very good disposition most of the time, he's very reasonable most of the time, and very, very occasionally, in extreme circumstances, he gets angry, is better than generally being very easy to anger. That would be a much bigger problem. What about someone who's difficult to anger and easily appeased? This is a very pious person, right? That they very, very rarely get angry. And when they do, they'll calm down very easily. You can talk to them. It won't be an ongoing problem. Easily angered and difficult to appease, that's a problem. It says a wicked man, someone who's always getting anger and won't calm down afterwards. We could see how that would be problematic. Mishnah 12. Arba midot batalmidim. There are 4 types of students. Maher lishmo maher la'abed, yatsa secharo behefsedo. Kashe lishmo v'kashe la'abed, yatsa hefsedo b'scharo. Maher lishmo v'kashe la'abed, chacham. Kashe lishmo u'maher la'abed, ze chelak ra. So there are 4 types of students: quick to grasp and quick to forget. His gain is canceled by his loss. So even though someone can learn very, very quickly, very, very sharp and very with it, they forget everything. They don't have any memory for it. The loss, anything they gain, they're losing out on. Slow to grasp and slow to forget, his loss is canceled by his gain. So even though it takes you a really long time to get something, once you get it, you really have it. That you get that's more of a positive than it is a negative. You have a lot of gain. Even though you have a loss, even though it's very difficult for you, there's more gain than what you're losing. Quick to grasp and slow to forget, he is wise. That's ideal for a student if you get things quickly and you really retain them and hold on to them. Slow to grasp and quick to forget, this is a bad portion. So this is unfortunate if a student has this problem that it's difficult for them to understand something and they quickly forget it. That would be the most difficult challenge for a student to have if that's their challenge. Mishnah 13. Arba midot benot ne tzedakah. There are 4 types of people who give charity, who give almsgivers, people who give charity. Harotzeh sheiten velo yitnu acherim, eino ra b'shel acherim. Yitnu acherim vehu lo yiten, Eino ra'a b'shelo. Yiten v'yitnu acherim chasid. Lo yiten v'lo yitnu acherim rasha. He who agrees to give but wishes that others should not give, his eye is evil towards that which concerns others. He who agrees that others should give but he will not give, his eye is evil towards that which concerns himself. He who agrees to give and also wishes that others should give, he is pious. He who will not give and wishes that others should not give either, he is wicked. So what are these different people? He who agrees to give but wishes that others should not give, he wants to be the only person who's giving charity. It's about him, and he cares more about him being this amazing person who's so generous than he cares about the people who are in need actually receiving in abundance. So he should want everyone to be giving, but he doesn't. He only wants himself to be giving. What about he who agrees that others should give, but he will not give? So he wants other people to be generous. He wants the poor to have what they need, but he's being overly concerned with his own material possessions, requirements, and he's not himself doing the act of giving to those who are in need. So he's missing out on that. He who agrees to give and also wishes that others should give, this is a pious person. This is the ideal. You should want to give to charity, and you should be so happy that other people are doing that too, because you yourself can't fix all the problems in the world, can't give everyone what they need, and you should want other people to be providing for the poor and those who are in need, because then those who are in need will have more, and because those people will be engaging in an act that is building their character. So you should want it in many ways for other people to be doing just as you. And the one who will not give and wishes that others should not give doesn't sound like a very nice person. I don't think that one needs more explaining. It's very clear that wouldn't be nice. Arba midot beholchei levet hamidrash. Now I'm sorry, we're on Mishnah 14. Okay, so there are 4 types of people who attend the house of study. Holech ve'eno oseh, sechar halicha biyado. Oseh ve'eno holech, sechar maaseh biyado. Holech ve'oseh chasid, lo holech ve'lo oseh rasha. So there are 4 types of people who attend the house of study. He who attends but does not practice. So he goes to the Beit HaMidrash, but he doesn't actually maybe do so much. He's kind of just hanging around. Maybe he listens, maybe he doesn't. He probably doesn't study much at home at all. He just is there. He still gets a reward. He gets a reward for attending. It's a good thing just to be in that space of people who are learning and who are engaging in mitzvot. That's a good environment to be in, and you get a reward just for putting yourself in that environment. He who practices but does not attend, so he studies at home, but he doesn't actually go to the Beit HaMidrash to learn with other people. He has the reward for practicing, but he doesn't have the reward for attending. So it's good that he's learning on his own, but he hasn't. There's so much that he's missing out on by not learning with other people, but not learning from teachers that know more than he does. There's much that he's missing out on, but he still gets the reward for studying, for learning. He who attends and practices, that's the best. This person is a good student at the Beit Midrash and a good student at home. He's engaged in every way. He's learning from other people. He's learning on his own. He's pious. He's doing everything right. And he who does not attend and does not practice, again, we conclude with the one who's considered the wicked one. So they're not engaging at all. They're not trying to better themselves or learn at all with others or alone. So that's not good. Mishnah 15. Arba midot v'yoshvei lifnei chachamim. There are 4 types among those who sit before the sages. So this is probably referring to people who are already, this is like the learned disciples who are now before the best, very impressive sages, their teachers. So these are the 4 types. Svog, umashpech, mashmeret, v'nafa. The sponge, the funnel, the strainer, and the sieve. So let's see what these people are. So it's interesting words to use. Okay? Svog shehu sofeg et hakol. Mashpech shemachnis bazo umotzi bazo. Mashmeret shemotzia et hayayin vekoletet et hashmarim. Venafa shemotzia et hakemach vekoletet et hasolet. The sponge which soaks up everything. So he just takes in everything from his teachers, good and bad. He's not discerning between things, but he is retaining everything. Then we have the funnel, which absorbs at one end and lets out the other. So that doesn't sound very good. The funnel is not holding on to anything and not distinguishing between things. The strainer, which lets out the wine and retains the dregs. So this is like a student who is remembering the irrelevant or lesser important things that the teacher is saying, but not retaining what is the essential thing that you're supposed to learn from this and you want to hold on to and that's really important for your future and your learning. That he lets go, but he retains irrelevant kind of marginal things that are of lesser importance. And the sieve, so this is the best one, the one who lets coarse flour pass out and retains the choice flour. So this, not only is he listening to everything the teacher is saying, but he's actually making distinctions. He's saying, what's most important that my teacher is teaching me? What do I want to retain? What can I let go of? What's of the highest value and what's of lesser value? That he's able to make the distinctions and not just do the learning and do the listening, but he's actually thinking very critically about what he's absorbing and what he's retaining. Mishnah 16. Kol ahava shehi tluya vadavar, batel davar. Batela ahava. Batel davar, batela ahava. V'she'ena tluya vadavar, ena batela leolam. I think this is a very good lesson here. All love which depends on something, when the thing vanishes, the love also ceases. But if it does not depend on anything, it will never cease. So making a distinction between conditional and unconditional love, that when love depends on something, that it's all based on one thing. If that thing goes away, so will the love. Now I'm going to give two examples from the Bible of these kinds of love. Ezo hi ahavat hatulia v'davar, zo ahavat Amnon v'Tamar. V'she'ena tulia v'davar, zo ahavat David v'Yonatan. Okay, so which love depended upon something? The love of Amnon and Tamar. That Amnon, they're half brother and half sister, and the story in the Bible, he sexually assaults her. He had this desire for her, but it wasn't a meaningful love. Obviously, it wasn't. He didn't treat her with respect or well. So that was like a love dependent on his just momentary passing kind of lustful love, and which did not. And then it says that later on, it says that he then grew to hate her. So clearly, it proves that it wasn't any kind of meaningful love, and which did not depend on anything. The love of David and Jonathan. So their love is described as like this very strong, beautiful friendship that's enduring. That is a love that is not dependent on anything. They just loved each other. They had a spiritual connection. Mishnah 17. Kol machloket shehi l'shem shamayim, sofa lihit kayem, v'she'ena l'shem shamayim, ein sofa lihit kayem. Any dispute which is for the sake of heaven shall in the end be of lasting worth, but that which is not for the sake of heaven shall not in the end be of lasting worth. Ezo hi machloket shehi l'shem shamayim. So which dispute was for the sake of heaven? So we're going to give examples now. Zo machloket Hillel v'Shammai. So Hillel v'Shammai, two sages that we often refer to their houses of study, their students and the people that perpetuated their line of reasoning. That was all their debates, and they disagreed with each other on everything, but that was for the sake of heaven because they wanted to get to the bottom of truth. They wanted to understand the Torah as best they could, so they intensely debated each other, but it was all for the sake of heaven. And what is a debate that is a dispute not for the sake of heaven? That is Korach and all of his company. So Korach was just trying to take power from Moshe. He wanted to be in charge. He wanted to be the leader, and he wanted to be. He was resentful of Moshe's station. So that wasn't a dispute that had good intention. That was a dispute that was about his own power and feeling of wanting to have his worth affirmed and being resentful of Moshe. Okay, Mishnah 18. Kol hamezakeh et harabim, ein chet ba al yado. V'chol hamachati et harabim, ein maspikin miyado la'asot teshuva. He who leads the multitude to virtue, no sin shall come to pass through him, but he who leads the many to sin shall not be granted the means to repent. Moshe zacha v'zika et harabim, zechut harabim teluya bo, shne'emar, tzidkat Hashem asa u'mishpatav im Yisrael. Yeravam chata v'hecheti et harabim, chet harabim talui bo, shne'emar, al chatot Yorvam asher chata ve'asher hecheti et Israel. So Moses was virtuous, and he led the many to virtue. The virtue of the many is attributed to him. As it is written, he executed the Lord's judgments and his ordinances with Israel. Jeroboam sinned and led many to sin. The sin of the many is attributed to him, as it is written, for the sins of Jeroboam, which he sinned, and wherewith he caused Israel to sin. So this is just about someone who leads people to live a more virtuous life, live a life of more mitzvot, of more chesed, of more doing kindness, of being a good person. That will they'll have reward for that, because the virtue of the other people will be attributed to them in their teaching and their leadership. But someone who leads many to sin, like Jeroboam, sinning in leading the people to idol worship. He was the first king of the northern kingdom of Israel, and he led many to sin, and therefore he merits that sin. I don't know what the right word is for that. That it's also upon him. He all the sins that he led others to do with what his teaching and his leadership. Mishnah 19. Kol mi sheyesh biyado shlosha davarim halalu mitalmidav shel Abraham Avinu u'shlosha davarim acherim mitalmidav shel Bil'am harasha. He who has the following three attributes is of the disciples of our father Abraham, but he who has three other attributes is of the disciples of Bil'am the wicked. So let's see what these attributes are attributed to each of them. So first, ayin tova v'ruach nemucha v'nefesh shefela mitalmidav shel Abraham Avinu. Ayin ra'ah v'ruach gvoha v'nefesh rachba mitalmidav shel Bil'am harasha. A good eye and a humble spirit and a lowly soul mark the disciples of our father Abraham. An evil eye, a haughty spirit, and a proud soul mark the disciples of Bil'am the wicked. Ma bein talmidav shel Abraham Avinu v'talmidav shel Bil'am harasha. How the disciples of our father Abraham differ from the disciples of Bil'am the wicked. It says, Talmidav shel Abraham Avinu ochlim ba'olam hazeh v'nochalin ba'olam haba shne'emar lahanchil ohavai yesh v'otzrotehem amale. Aval talmidav shel Bil'am harasha yorshin gehenam v'yordin liv'er shachat shne'emar v'ata elokim torideim liv'er shachat anshe damim v'mirma lo yechetzu yimehem va'ani evtach bach. The disciples of our father Abraham partake of this world and inherit the world to come, as it is written, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance, and that I may fill their treasuries. But the disciples of Bil'am the wicked inherit Gehenna and descend into the pit of destruction, as it is said, but you, O God, will bring them down into the nethermost pit. Men of blood and deceit shall not live out half their days, but as for me, I will trust in you. So this is about the qualities of an individual that affects all the people around them and their students, and those who kind of are the spiritual or inheritors of their way of being and their character traits. And it determines one's future and what one deserves by whether or not they engage with these character traits that affect those that come after them. Mishnah 20. Yehuda ben Tema Omer Heve az kanamer v'kal kanesher v'ratz katzvi v'gibor ka'ari la'asot ratzon avicha shebashamayim. Yehuda ben Tema said, be bold as a leopard, light as the eagle, swift as the deer, and mighty as a lion, to do the will of your Father in heaven. Hu haya omer, az panim legehenam, uvoshet panim legan eden. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Hashem Elokeinu, shetivnei irach bimhira b'yameinu, v'ten chalkenu b'toratecha. He used to say, the shameless are for Gehenna, and the bashful are for Gan Eden. May it be your will, O Lord, our God, that your city be rebuilt speedily in our days, and grant us our portion in your Torah. So he used to say, be bold like a leopard. Don't be shy to ask questions, to say that you fail to understand something. Be bold in your performance of mitzvot. Don't feel shame about that. Be light as an eagle. there's different opinions what that means. It could mean to review tirelessly, and it could mean to distance yourself from that which is not good. So willing to move kind of gracefully. Be swift as a deer in pursuit of mitzvot, is the commentary on this. And mighty as a lion, to do the will of your Father in heaven. So to do mitzvot and to shy away from that which is not good for you, you should have the bravery and strength that a lion has to do those positive things for yourself. He used to say the shameless go to Gehenna and the bashful to Gan Eden. So someone who shameless and bashful are maybe two sides of how one could behave, how one could feel, but to have the positive end of that, to go to have a stake of Gan Eden, would be to the humility of being bashful and knowing your place, and wanting to associate with other good people and do good things. And then it ends with a prayer. So some say that this actually might be the actual end of Pirkei Avot, even though we have a few Mishnayot remaining. But here is something that we haven't seen yet in Pirkei Avot, but a brief some words of prayer. May it be your will, O Lord our God, that your city be rebuilt speedily in our days, and grant us our portion in your Torah. And with that, I will end. And there's 3 Mishnayot left. And Rabbi Elton will be teaching those and then doing the siyum for Tanit Bechorot, and that will be this Wednesday, which is Erev Pesach. So I think maybe it'll be a little earlier. We'll see. We'll get back to you about the time, but definitely Wednesday morning. This is the last time I'll be teaching Pirkei Avot, so just want to wish everyone well, wish everyone a Chag Kasher v'Sameach, and good health and an enjoyable Seder and Pesach. Okay, bye.